I would like to thank Quest for giving me this opportunity to summarize what different speakers in the morning session have actually spoke about. And being the representative of Rolls-Royce for analysis community in India, I quite enjoyed what the several speakers have said this morning. Dr. Singh and Dr. Bharadwaj have talked about the use of CAE in the world of aerospace applications at a very high level. Mr. Rajiv and Dr. Verghese have talked and gave us more insight into the technical details of analysis. Dr. Rajiv talked about structural analysis of components. Dr. Verghese talked about the composites, which is the latest technologies. You guys, I think probably the birding engineers and the engineering students would have taken quite a few takeaways. Since morning, I was just trying to make note of what are the key takeaways that could be taken away from this session for the audience. It's good that they've asked me to talk in summarizing what the speakers have said in the morning, because I don't need to do any homework, But it makes me to concentrate more this morning, actually. You guys were probably a bit more relaxed in listening to it. I was listening to every word that the speakers were talking about. So just to give you a few sets of takeaways that I've noted down from this morning session. In no specific order, really. I think one of the speakers actually gave the different design parameters that could constrain you in terms of designing an optimal product or a system, basically. So always, as a CAE engineer, you should have an overview of what are the different parameters that influence your overall design, and try to come out with an optimal design whenever you intend to design something. And then the other thing that came out very strongly in Dr. Bharadwaj's speech was tools are are enablers for you to design something very quickly. It's not, tools are not going to design anything for you. That's the key takeaway for any of the engineering graduates who are trying to learn a lot of tools, before they get into the job market. It's essential that you understand the physics of the system. It's essential that you have the core engineering knowledge, and tools are only enablers for you to get to the optimal design very quickly in terms of reducing the cycle time reductions that Boeing is looking at getting out of this, actually. And the other one is tools are always good in terms of giving you the the effect of a particular design change on a component or a system. It may not give you the absolute value of what it is. So it's always important to remember that the experiments, validation, correlation between the FE analysis and experiments is also is part of the CAE engineer's role. So they should be acting as complementary, like Dr. Bharadwaj have said, rather than saying that we don't want wind tunnel testing anymore just because we have got the latest CFD tools. If you look at on the structural analysis side, a lot of testing is going on the bird strike. I think Dr. Singh has mentioned it in one of his slides. Bird strike is something, if a bird or something hits the fan blade, what happens? I think most of the aero engine companies to date have to demonstrate that, to comply with the certification authorities by actual test. But I'm sure that over the years, the number of tests that they conduct have gone down significantly, like with the wind tunnel testing of the wings, because of the advancement of the CAE tools. And one key differentiator that I had from Mr. Rajiv's presentation is he was focusing more on the engineers having a knowledge and exposure to materials engineering. In terms of, it's very critical, when you're designing a particular component, to choose the right material, to understand what the material is capable of. And Mr. Rajiv's presentation actually brought out that very clearly. So any mechanical engineers out here should be concentrating a bit more on material side of things as well, because ultimately it's the advancement of the materials and the single crystals that we're talking about today, which would enable you to design better components in the future. And one last thing that I wanted to say was the advancement of technology in terms of composites, like Dr. Verghese was talking about, could throw up a lot more challenges as well. It's not that any technological advancement would give you better handle. It may give you a better handle in the end result, but in terms of understanding what the technology gives you, how do you join? It was very simple. Metal to metal joining was much easier. People had the experience of doing it for the last maybe 100, 150 years. Now composites have come, and it's a technology that would probably enable aerospace industry to perform better. But how do you use that technology to integrate with the rest of the system to actually come up with a valid and the optimal product is the key. And I would like to thank Quest again for giving me this opportunity. And I thank all the speakers this morning, who have given their valuable insights into the CAE world. Thank you.
Are you born to engineer?